Heparin is an anticoagulant. So it has to interfere with some proteins of coagulation cascade to hinder the hemostasis. Now, it binds to the endothelial cell surface and a variety of plasma proteins. But its biological activity is dependent upon the endogenous anticoagulant antithrombin. So you can say that the presence of antithrombin is necessary for the action of heparin. Now, antithrombin is a circulating glycoprotein that is capable of inhibiting the clotting factor proteases, especially the thrombin, that is the factor 2A, the factor 9A, and the factor 10A, by forming the equimolar stable complexes with them. Now, you can learn the details of the process, that what antithrombin is doing and how it controls the hemostasis process in the thrombopprotection lecture in the physiology course. Here, as we're just discussing about the mechanism of action of heparin, so just focus on it. Now, in the absence of heparin, what happens that the reaction that the antithrombin is inhibiting the thrombin and the other factors, basically this reaction is very slow in the absence of heparin. When the heparin is present, these reactions are accelerated thousandfold. The active heparin molecule binds tightly to the antithrombin and causes a conformational change in this inhibitor. Now, this conformational change of antithrombin exposes its active sites for more rapid interactions with the proteases. Just like a friend helps you to do a task quickly, heparin functions as a cofactor for the antithrombin protease reaction and without being consumed. Now, that means that once the antithrombin protease complex is formed, heparin is released intact for the renewed binding to the more antithrombin. Now, if we just compare the way the different types of heparin act, the high molecular weight fractions of the heparin, or you can say the native heparin, have the high affinity for the antithrombin. And it markedly inhibits the blood coagulation by inhibiting all the three factors that I have talked about, the factor 2A, 9A, and the 10A. In contrast, the shorter chain or the lower molecular weight fractions of heparin inhibit the factor 10, but have very less effect on the thrombin than the high molecular weight species. Now, nevertheless, the numerous studies have demonstrated that low molecular weight heparins such as the enoxaparin, dalteparin, and tenaziparin are effective in several thromboembolic conditions. In fact, these low molecular weight heparins, in comparison with the unfractionated heparin, have equal efficacy, increased bioavailability from the subcutaneous site of injection, and less frequent dosing requirements. Usually once or twice daily is sufficient. So this was a little bit about the mechanism of action of heparin. Now, in which conditions heparin are used, in which condition we prefer high molecular weight heparins or low molecular weight heparin, for that switch to the next section.